marks 3 years of recovery in my food addiction. If you have not had a chance to watch my initial video on my journey and the weight loss, I'm going to link it here in the cards above, so go ahead and go check that out. This video is going to be more about what it's been like to live in recovery. Probably at some point do like a Q&A video, so if you have specific questions for me, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. We can talk a lot in our culture about getting healthy, but actually doing it is a whole other thing. I couldn't keep a freaking diet program going more than 6 months if my life depended on it. The yo-yo diet, that was me. Try this, oh, gain it back. Lose it, gain it back. Lose it, gain it back. I did Jenny Craig and I was able to keep it off. But isn't that how we talk about it? Like, are you keeping it off? It's like this constant dog paddle, like you're just trying, you're doing everything you possibly can to keep your head above water. And what if it didn't have to be like that? I honestly think the only reason that I'm successful in this is because of Jesus. Back to the person that I was when I started this process in May of 2017, like I had no idea that this is where I would be. I mean, I think I had some hopes that at least weight loss wise, I might be somewhere in this ballpark, but to really understand what it means to walk in freedom, in obedience, and surrender, it's really hard to explain something that is such an internal transformation process as much as it's been an external transformation process. Some of these things that I'm going to share with you are kind of hard truths to hear. And I'm sorry, but also kind of not sorry. I hear a lot of people who have heard my story or hear the way that I eat and they're like, well, I could never do that. You're talking to the girl who literally never thought I could do this. I tried every diet program, fad thing out there. Even auditioned for The Biggest Loser. Anything as long as I didn't have to give it up completely. But here's the thing. That's wanting to continue to sin and not have the consequences of those actions. I had gotten into a place of gluttony. And we don't like to use that word. We don't like to talk about it. And we can't excuse our poor behavior and our poor choices by saying that that's somebody else's problem. Like by shifting the focus or the attention. If I focus on how all of these other people are making me feel bad about my body, then I don't have to actually address the things that I'm doing that contribute to me feeling bad about my body. To say, well, I just don't want to give it up, or I just don't think I could. You're talking to the girl who literally had a bowl of sugar hidden in her headboard as a child so that I could just eat sugar. You're right, you can't without God. The other message that when we say, well, I just can't, it really means I just don't want to. You can live a life without sugar. Most of us just don't want to. The idea of giving those specific foods up is really stinking hard. Not just not being able to eat those things, but all the other stuff that comes with it. Learning how to do things without food being the center of it. How do you celebrate your birthday without a birthday cake? How do you do Christmas without cookie exchanges? One of the big ones for me was traveling internationally. I love to travel, but I was so worried about, could I experience travel? Could I experience culture in the same way if I wasn't eating those foods? We spent some time in Salzburg and we took a couple of different bus trip tour sorts of things because there was a massive heat wave, and the travel around Salzburg doing the bicycle Sound of Music tour that was my plan was not going to happen in like 95-degree weather. So we opted for the air-conditioned bus tour instead. We would stop and they would say, oh, this place has the best apple strudel. You're gonna want to get it with ice cream and whipped cream and all sorts of stuff. And was there a little part of me that was kind of sad and kind of disappointed that I didn't get to partake in that tradition? Yeah. But you know what felt even better? My thighs weren't rubbing and chafing together when I wanted to wear a dress. So what have these past 3 years actually been like in like practicality for me? Year 1 was all about just getting through. I joined 12-step program. I found a Christian 12-step program that was all online, and I like dove in full force. I thought, if I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna do it. I can't go halfway and then say it doesn't work for me. That meant joining this recovery group. I got a sponsor and I started committing my meals daily. So write out your meals the day before, everything you're gonna eat, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack. As food addicts, we're so used to making decisions about what we eat based on how we feel. You plan what you eat what you plan. Grocery shopping and then meal prep for a week. I got little Pyrex dishes. I still use them. It has been a lifesaver. I don't mind leftovers. Some people, leftovers is not their jam, but for me, I didn't mind it, and it was nice to be able to have one day of meal prep and then not have to worry about it. The first year, I ate a lot of the same foods. Kind of what I did before. I was like a teriyaki and a sushi girl all the way. Like, I could eat that all day, every day. So the fact that I was eating the same kinds of foods didn't really bother me. Started really getting into the Word. A lot of the step stuff, I used the Life Recovery Bible to then go through the 12 steps using that Bible, which was really helpful. One of the things that somebody said early on in the recovery program, that self-control is a fruit of the Spirit, not a fruit of you. And I don't know about you, but that like radically shifted the way that I felt about a lot of stuff. I think it was honestly kind of one of the bedrocks of my personal recovery. For so long, I had been caught up in doing all of these other programs and feeling so badly about myself. Like, why can't you have self-control? Why aren't you more self-disciplined? Everybody else can eat just like one piece of cake and you have to eat the whole cake. And so to kind of have that shift in mindset, that it didn't alleviate the responsibility I had, but it shifted it. Like, it's not necessarily my responsibility to be 100% self-controlled. It is my responsibility to be so connected to the Spirit that He can grow that fruit in me. That first year was crazy when it came to weight loss. I did not know I could lose weight like that. And as much as this was a spiritual journey, was and is a spiritual journey, if we're being very real with each other, when you go into this sort of thing, being really overweight, you want to see weight loss. I felt like I was on The Biggest Loser. Like, seeing those numbers, I was like, what the heck? And when you start to lose the weight and you no longer have the food to go to, you really have to start dealing with your stuff. So that was the first year. The second year, really about sticking with it. We start out at 267, 80 still isn't really close to healthy or close to where I wanted to be. And I never really had a specific weight in mind. It was about being healthy. I started my own private practice, and so I was at home a lot more. A new element of recovery of what does it look like to be home most of the time. It's a lot easier to want to fall back into those habits of snacking or just like grazing all day long. So year 2, or the like 1 to 2 anniversary mark, was about really figuring out how to do this. Like, okay, so you were focused, laser focused on recovery year 1. What does it mean for this to be your lifestyle in year 2? Year 3 was about maintenance. So I am maybe 3 pounds different now than I was a year ago. 3 pounds less. So I've continued to lose a little bit. Like, when you stop having the high of lower and lower and lower numbers on the scale almost every week, or at least every month, are you able to maintain the motivation? Talked about it being an internal transformation, but that external number changing, the pant size getting smaller, definitely is a huge motivator. And so what happens when you hit your health point? I think it has been the most challenging mindset-wise. I now work at a school, and part of my compensation at the school is to be able to eat meals in our dining hall. Here's a new thing. What happens when you can't plan out your meals the day before because I don't actually know what they're serving in the dining hall? Also, how do you manage your portion sizes when somebody else is serving you? How do I continue to get the vegetables that I know that I need to get, because I'm not a vegetable girl, when the vegetables they serve in the dining hall are just really not my favorite? It also means that I eat a lot of chicken and rice, because there's a lot of times when they cook stuff that I can't eat, and so I'm really grateful that they are always willing to make me grilled chicken. Sometimes I'm like, can you not just cook me a piece of pork or like a hamburger? Do I have to have dry chicken again? It's hard. Those are the times where I think it gets the hardest for me, where I work with a bunch of students who want to offer me food, or we celebrate birthdays, or, you know, we go out to ice cream or get donuts or whatever, and I'm now around that food a lot more. I'm in the dorm office by myself late at night with the Halloween candy bowl sitting there. I'm really grateful that I did not have this job in year 1 of recovery, because it would have been a lot harder. So now as I enter into the 4th year, I'm excited. I'm excited to continue this journey. I'm excited about seeing what else my body can do. Really noticing that I need to actually start working out, because the majority of my weight loss happened simply by food and not working out at all. That I do not like working out. I am a sweater. Like, I just sweat a profuse amount, and it bugs the heck out of me. It makes it hard for me to want to exercise, honestly. Like, the cardio part doesn't even bother me. It's the fact that I sweat so much. But hey, the next new challenge, and maybe your journey doesn't look exactly the way that mine does. It very well may not. But I imagine that there is some of what I've said that's kind of been a bit of a gut punch for you. That maybe this is stuff that God's been talking to you about, and like me, you have either said, I don't wanna, I don't think I can, or, but God, isn't there any other way? Do I really have to give that up? And I just want to encourage you that if there is something that you know you are not supposed to be eating anymore, to do the hard work of surrendering it, to stop making excuses that, like, maybe you just haven't found the right program, or maybe you just haven't figured out the right, like, food allergy or combination of things, or like whatever. Can you just be very honest with yourself and say, I am not walking in obedience, and I want to walk in obedience? If anything in any of the videos that I've ever filmed has taught you, Jesus' way is better. It just is. So confront whatever fears you have. Be willing to set your selfishness down and give up some things. It may be hard. You may put it down and pick it back up, put it down and pick it back up. The only way to experience true and full blessing is to walk in obedience. And I know that you can. If you have any questions for me that I haven't addressed, please, again, feel free to leave those in the comments below. I'm pretty much an open book, if this channel hasn't already proven that. You can also check out my website, matinahawkins.com. There's a place to contact me there. I'm just excited. I'm excited for this next year for me, and I'm excited for what it might mean for you if you choose to really step into what God is calling you to do.